Good morning and glad to have you join us on News Bites live broadcast of news. My name is Oluwa Mayomikun. Today is the 19th of September, Tuesday 19th of September. We're poised to bring you a robust compilation of news making rounds in Nigeria today. So we are glad you could join us. It's our pleasure always to bring you this. Let's go through the headlines, but not before I share this on my timeline, and I enjoy you as well as you join us to share on your timeline so that your friends on Facebook can see the news and be informed and also benefit from this free service. Yes, free service that we bring to you every morning. Well, I must tell you as usual that we have a very robust compilation today. Very, very rich, very robust package. So don't miss any bit of it at all. So just give me a few moments. Let me share this on my timeline. As I also, encourage you to join me to share this as well. That's how we actually create the buzz. That's how we build this community of those who want to be informed. Okay. All right, I'm sharing on my timeline. You also can do the same. Bam. All right. So I think we can begin our broadcast now. If you're just joining us, this is News Bites live broadcast of news headlines. News making rounds today. I think we have like 26 news items for you today. All over town. We've gone all over town and we've put them together. And we're here to deliver it fresh to you. All the juicy items. So let's begin. President Muhammadu Buhari is in New York to join other world leaders for the one-week 72nd session of the UN General Assembly high-level event starting today, Tuesday. The president will today deliver Nigeria's national statement, the first day of the general debate. He has been listed as the 8th speaker of the 193 head of state expected to address the general debate of the General Assembly. The theme for this year's debate is focusing on people, striving for peace and a decent life for all on a sustainable planet. Federal Ministry of Health has confirmed a new case of yellow fever in a young girl in Okeowa community, Ifelodun local government area of Kwara. Professor Isaac Adewale, Minister of Health, said the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital carried out the laboratory diagnosis of the case, while the Institute Pasteur Dakar, Senegal, confirmed it on September 12. The minister said that the state epidemiology team has begun investigation in the affected area and surrounding communities following the confirmation of the case. He added that the government has deployed a joint team comprising the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, National Primary Health Care Development Agency, and the World Health Organization country office to the state. The team will support the state in carrying out a detailed investigation and risk analysis. Adewale also gave the assurance that all agencies of the Federal Ministry of Health and other partners will work together to support the state response program in order to prevent further spread of the disease. Yellow fever is an acute viral hemorrhagic disease transmitted by infected Aedes mosquitoes. Symptoms include fever, headache, jaundice, muscle pain, nausea, vomiting, and fatigue. Some infected people may not experience any of these symptoms. In severe cases, bleeding may occur from the mouth, nose, eyes, and stomach. So please, if anyone around you complains of any of these symptoms, please advise them to see the doctor. Please don't do any self-medication in this case. 2,000 megawatts of electricity generated into the national grid is not distributed to customers, according to Louis Edozian, a permanent secretary with the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing. He says the national grid produces about 6,600 megawatts of electricity, but less than 4,600 megawatts get distributed to the customers. Edozian, who spoke at the opening of the 3rd National Council on Power meeting, that's NACOP, attributed the situation to inadequate distribution lines and distribution substations. While noting that much funds are needed to procure more distribution lines, he regrets that DISCOs are a bit cash-strapped following most consumers' inability to pay their electricity tariff. The NACOP meeting, which commenced on Monday, September 18, will be concluded on September 22nd with Babatunde Fashola, the Minister for Power, Works and Housing, among key speakers. It is expected to feature robust deliberation on the shortage of the distribution lines and other critical issues bordering on how to deliver available power to consumers. Meanwhile, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and other key consumers of electricity have rejected a proposal by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to review power charges on a monthly basis. Speaking at a stakeholders forum organized by NERC in Abuja on Monday, the consumers insist on the status quo, which implies possible review of the tariff on a biannual basis. Other consumer groups that spoke at the event are the Nigerian Electricity Consumers Advocacy Network and the Hotel Owners Forum, Abuja. Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has advised motorists across the country not to engage in any panic buying of petroleum products. NNPC assures that the corporation has in stock premium motor spirit, otherwise called petrol, sufficient to serve the nation for 48 days. Similarly, there is in stock sufficient quantity of automotive gas oil, that's AGO, dual-purpose kerosene, that's DPK, as well as aviation turbine kerosene to serve the country. NNPC has further enjoined motorists to report any challenge they may have in the course of purchasing to the Department of Petroleum Resources, which is statutorily empowered to deal with such issues, noting that DPR has offices located in all parts of the country. The statement added that government is working assiduously to arrive at an amicable resolution of outstanding issues with the industry unions. This assurance from NNPC came on the heels of an explosion earlier on Monday at the Petroleum Wharf at Apapa, Lagos State. The explosion at the jetty killed 4 people. A vessel identified as Istria Ivory was discharging premium motor spirit, that is petrol, around 3 a.m. when some hoodlums besieged it to scoop fuel spilling from the vessel. Officials of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, men of the Lagos State Fire Service, Federal Fire Service, Nigerian Port Authority, and the Nigerian Navy was said to have been called when the jetty's in-house fire unit could not handle the inferno, which lasted for about an hour. Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, in a statement signed by the NNPC Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Ndu Ugamadu, on Monday, said the fire was caused by hoodlums who interrupted the discharge of fuel, while assuring motorists and other consumers of petroleum products that the fire will not affect the supply of petroleum products all over the country. Aviation unions affiliated to United Labour Congress on Monday shunned directives to shut down the Nigerian airspace as the ULC begins a nationwide strike. The unions, which are the Association of Nigerian Aviation Professionals, Aeronautical Information Services Association of Nigeria, and the National Association of Air Traffic Engineers, had earlier at a meeting with the management of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, dissociated themselves from the strike. Yesterday, normal flight operations by airlines were observed at the international and domestic wings of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, as well as the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, signifying that the unions had not joined the strike. The ULC issued the strike notice following government's failure to recognize the body as a labor federation despite allegedly fulfilling all conditions stipulated by the law. Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, ASU, has suspended its indefinite strike after 1 month. The suspension is sequel to a meeting with the federal government's delegation led by the Minister of Labour, Dr. Chris Ngigi, on Monday. ASU said the suspension will last until the end of October in order to enable the federal government to meet the union's demands. The union directed university lecturers to resume duty from today, Tuesday, September 19th. ASU embarked on an indefinite strike on August 13 following federal government's failure to implement the 2009 agreement with the union. Nigeria Customs Service Semi-Command said it collected 701 million naira as revenue for the month of August. The amount is 201,364,081 naira higher than the 499,654,455 naira that was generated in July. A statement released in Badagry on Monday by the command's PRO, Selshank Tapoin, said that the command succeeded in collecting so much by blocking all revenue leakages at the border. He further said that 48 seizures were made with a duty-paid value of 32.8 million naira. The command seized 100 bags of 50 kg fertilizer and 1,840 cartons containing mosquito coil, insecticide, soap, cream, second-hand clothing and bags, among others. Federal government has accused the indigenous people of Biafra of using fake and doctored videos of mass killings harvested from other parts of Africa and doctored to look current to mislead the international community and win their support. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, stated this when he addressed online publishers in Lagos on Monday. Mohammed says some ill-informed foreign individuals are already trumpeting IPOB's lies and propaganda and even alleging genocide. He appealed to online publishers to help counter the fake narrative on the social media on the situation in the Southeast. He reiterated his earlier statement that IPOB is being sponsored by a coalition of politically disgruntled and treasury looters, and that the organization is a contraption against the Buhari administration. Nigerian Army says it will conduct more exercises to sharpen personnel skills and prepare them to tackle emerging security challenges in the country. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai announced this on Monday at the commencement of the second and third quarter Chief of Army Staff Conference in Abuja. Buratai explained that the exercises are aimed at focusing personnel in real-time operational scenarios as against simulated training situations. He reiterates that currently exercise Egu Eke, that's the Python dance tool, is underway in the 5 southeast states, Enugu, Imo, Anambra, Abia, Ebonyi, and Cross River State in the south-south. He charged formation commanders in theater of operations to imbibe the spirit of in-theater training based on terrain and the changing tactics of adversary. Buratai notes that evolutionary and global security challenges are being influenced by political, economic, social, and technological factors, stressing that the need for regular improvement on the existing capacity of the Nigerian Army to be able to deal with present and future security threats is imperative. Meanwhile, the fate of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, rests with the federal government, as the final decision whether or not to arrest Kanu is to be made by the government, Buratai told journalists on the sideline of the opening ceremony of the conference. Nigeria Army has increased military presence as a measure to prevent any form of reprisal attacks in Zaria following reports of attacks on northerners resident in parts of Southeast. A statement by the Assistant Director, Depot Nigerian Army and Nigerian Military School Public Relations, Captain Haruna Muhammad Sani, said that there has been tension in the city. He disclosed that the Commandant, Depot Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Victor Ezego, met with military, paramilitary, and other stakeholders to ensure that proactive measures are put in place, adding that the military is taking measures to safeguard lives and property and avert any occurrence that could jeopardize public order and peaceful coexistence in Zaria. He advised the general public not to panic with the increase in movement of military agencies on the streets of Zaria and environs. President of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, says Nigerian Army's branding of indigenous people of Biafra as a terrorist organization is unconstitutional. Also unconstitutional, according to him, is the proscription of the group by the governors of Southeast states. Saraki, in a 10-point statement on Monday in Abuja, said the pronouncements by the governors and the military did not follow due process. He said that such declarations will not take effect because the laws had made clear provisions for taking such actions. While commending the military for their efforts in restoring peace to different parts of the country and sustaining the unity, he urged each to be guided by their training in the face of provocation. According to Saraki, military training emphasizes respect for human rights even in war situations. He adds that given the nature of the situation in the southeast, the military should have been hesitant in the use of force. He said that the National Assembly will embark on a fact-finding investigation aimed at determining what happened during the military exercise in the southeast. Saraki said it is to enable the Senate sift the facts from the fiction and determine who did what, adding that all the facts are not yet known. He assured Nigerians that there will be no cover-up, saying that all facts will be laid bare, and also called for calm and restraint by all Nigerians to provide the right solution to the current problem rather than worsening it. Saraki also commended Nigerians in other parts of the country who had worked to ensure that the crisis did not spread beyond the southeast. He assured that the National Assembly will, on resumption, play its constitutional role by addressing all issues agitating the minds of Nigerians. However, Chief Whip House of Representatives Al-Hassan Adodogua has condemned Saraki, saying the Senate President's declaration is a mere political statement that portrayed the nation's number 3 citizen as a controversial leader. Adodogua said, I quote, "I'm sure the Senate President was only expressing his personal opinion, which I further believe is not a good one in the given circumstances. The Nigerian armed forces, in my opinion, are doing their best professionally and in the best interest of a united Nigeria. Even the southeastern state governors have declared the activities of Kano's IPOB as illegal and therefore proscribed. He, the Senate President, can't cry more than the bereaved." Off quote. Also, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, has insisted that the declaration of IPOB as a terrorist organization was done in accordance with the nation's constitution. Buratai said this at the Nkwegu military cantonment, Abakaliki, the Ebonyi state capital, on Monday while inaugurating the Operation Python Dance 2 exercise for the Southeast geopolitical zone. He said, and I quote, "What the defense headquarters said was a pronouncement. It was not a declaration. But this has given room for the right step to be taken. I think the government is doing the right thing. It is not that we overstepped our bounds. We're still within the limits of the law." Of quote. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Army on Monday commenced gradual withdrawal of its operatives stationed at various checkpoints in Aba after the recent clash with protesting members of IPOB. Investigation on Monday showed that only a few of the new military checkpoints mounted in the commercial city has been dismantled. The 5 military checkpoints mounted on the busy Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway has been reduced to 3. A high-powered delegation of the Northern Governors Forum on Monday visited the Southeast states and the Rivers State Governor, Chief Nyesom Wike, with the message that despite the unfortunate incident in Abia State, steps have been taken to ensure that there are no reprisals in different parts of the country. The governor said no law-abiding Nigerian deserves to be punished as a result of where he or she resides. They called for the enthronement of peace-building measures despite the challenges facing the country. The northern governors, who hailed Wike for taking urgent steps that led to the protection of Nigerians living in the state, made reference to the clashes that erupted in the Oyigbo local government area of Rivers State. The chairman of the Northern Governors Forum, Kashim Shettima, said Wike's actions, especially his statewide broadcast, helped to restore peace despite the challenges. Wike promised that he will continue to protect all Nigerians and foreigners living in the state. The governor added that Rivers State believes in the unity of the country and will not be part of those calling for the disintegration of Nigeria. Explaining that violence can never lead to the resolution of any grievances, Wike urged aggrieved persons to embrace dialogue in the interest of peace and development. Excuse me. He added that the people of Rivers State had their own peculiar grievances against developmental issues in the country, pointing out that as a governor he had raised such issues but will never support disintegration. On the delegation of the forum led by its chairman and Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima were Katsina State Governor Bello Masari, Sokoto State Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, Kebbi State Governor Atiku Bagudu, and Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong. Also during the visit of the northern governors to Abia State Governor Okeze Ikpeazu on Monday, Shettima said no part of Nigeria could comfortably accommodate Nigerians in the event of any major crisis in the country. Speaking in Umuahia during the visit, Shettima stated that the northern governors have faith in the unity of Nigeria. He added that some of the governors who had served in the National Assembly have mixed with people from different parts of the country and have built a coalition across the country. Ikpeazu hailed the northern governors for identifying with Abia residents and other Nigerians living in the state during the crisis period. He points out that normalcy has returned to the state, saying Muslims had a peaceful worship in mosques on Friday. Ikpeazu adds that just as it is in Jos, the curfew in the state runs from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Meanwhile, IPOB on Monday asked the federal government to produce its leader, Nnamdi Kanu, who they claim have been missing since soldiers invaded his residence in Umuahia. The group says the Nigerian army might have arrested or killed Kanu and his parents. IPOB, in a statement by its spokesman, Ima Powerful, equally alleged that Kanu's parents have been missing since the alleged invasion of the family's residence by soldiers. Powerful also claimed that 22 IPOB members were killed during the alleged attack on Kanu's residence. Former Governor of Kano State, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, has advocated for the combination of military intervention and dialogue in addressing the crisis in the southeast created by IPOB. In an interview with newsmen in Abuja, Kwankwaso said dialogue remained the key to calming the chaotic situation, but stressed that military presence is also necessary. The former governor appealed to the ruling All Progressive Congress, the People's Democratic Party, and 43 other political parties in the country to bury their differences and unite against insecurity in the country. He also appealed to elder statesmen, traditional rulers, and religious leaders across the country to play key roles in ending insecurity in all parts of the country. In a related development, Jamaatul Nasril Islam, the FCT chapter, has advised FCT youths against carrying out reprisal attacks on Southeasterners residing in the territory. Chairman of the FCT chapter, Abdullahi Muhammadu Gora, urged imams across the nation and the FCT in particular to preach peace in their respective mosques. The chairman appealed to religious and community leaders to fish out the bad eggs in their communities, educate and orient them on the need for peaceful coexistence, while cautioning the youth against reacting violently to provocative comments on social media, as according to him, that would affect the fragile peace in the country. Meanwhile, 7 suspected members of the indigenous people of Biafra have been remanded in Aba prison for alleged murder and arson by a magistrate court sitting in Aba, Abia State. The suspects are Chinonso Ude, Madu Abuchi Echerodo, Ukochukwu Ekechukwu, Okechukwu Daniel, Okeze Jeremiah, Chizuru Oke Nwamuo, and Ifeanyi Sunday. Their remand in the prison custody follows their arraignment on 12 counts bordering on the murder of an assistant superintendent of police, Cyril Nwosu, and setting ablaze the area police station alongside cars recovered as exhibit by the police. The suspects are also charged with theft of pump-action rifles. After listening to the arguments of the counsel, the magistrate, Ogbonna Adele, ordered that the accused persons be remanded in Aba prison and adjourned the case till September 27th for plea and ruling. Independent National Electoral Commission INEC says it will conduct verification for the recall of Senator Dino Melaye on October 14th. The commission disclosed this in its amended timetable and schedule of activities issued by its secretary, Augusta Ogaku, in Abuja yesterday. Ogaku said the verification would take place in all polling units in Kogi West, while INEC notification for the exercise will be released on October 3rd. She said that INEC has fixed October 5 as the last day for the submission of applications by observers and October 9 for the publication of the list of accredited observers for the exercise. The Commission will hold its stakeholders meeting at the Senatorial District Headquarters and Local Government Headquarters on October 10, the last day for the submission of names of polling agents for the verification by the members sought to be recalled, and the representatives of the petitioners has also been scheduled for October 12th. The Commission said it has provided Melaye with relevant materials to study. Dino Melaye is representing Kogi West Senatorial District in the National Assembly. The court had on August 11 ordered the Commission to continue with the suspended recall process. Meanwhile, INEC on Monday asked Justice Nnamdi Dingba of the Federal High Court in Abuja to allow it to serve the senator representing Kogi West in the National Assembly, Dino Melaye, the petition requesting his recall and other accompanying documents through substituted means. INEC, through its lawyer Olawale Ibrahim, told the judge on Monday that all attempts to serve the senator personally, as ordered by the court on September 11, have been futile. Ibrahim, in an ex parte application, sought the court's order directing substituted means of serving the senator by dumping the documents in front of Melaye's office at the National Assembly. But a counsel, Nkem Okoro of the law firm of Mike Ozekome, that's Melaye's lead counsel, told the judge that the senator has been away from the country. The lawyer also said Melaye will return to the country between September 25 and 26 when the National Assembly resumes. After the arguments and counter-arguments, the judge directed INEC to make one more attempt at serving Melaye personally or through his counsel. The judge notes that only if that fails can he be disposed to taking the INEC's ex parte application. Lawyers to both parties then agreed that the matter be adjourned until September 28th for report of service and or hearing of the ex parte and all pending applications in the unlikely event that personal service still fails. Meanwhile, Dino Melaye has appealed against the judgment of the Federal High Court. No fewer than 120 staff of INEC yesterday commenced a 2-day training on Election Management System Implementers Workshop ahead of the November 18 governorship election in Anambra State. The staff, made up of electoral field officers and their assistants, are to undergo training on 7 key areas of logistics, staff management, voter registration, training, party and candidate management, among others. The All Progressives Congress has declared the winner of the August 26 Anambra State APC primary, Tony Nwoye, as the party's flag bearer in the state governorship election. This is sequel to the dismissal of an appeal filed by one of the aspirants, Senator Andy Uba. The decision to uphold the result of the primary, which Nwoye won, was taken at a meeting of the party's National Working Committee held at the APC National Secretariat in Abuja yesterday. Chief John Odige Oyegun-led National Working Committee considered the report of the Dr. Hassan Lawal-led appeal panel, which investigated a petition filed by Uba, who alleged that irregularities marred the conduct of the primary. However, in the final report submitted by the chairman of the Anambra APC Governorship Primary Committee, Governor Kashim Shettima, the committee says the integrity of the exercise is not in dispute. Adebayo Shitu, the Minister of Communications, has expressed confidence that he will succeed Governor Abiola Ajimobi as Governor of Oyo State in 2019 to improve on the good work already started. Shitu made the declaration when he spoke with newsmen in Ibadan after a meeting with members of the All Progressive Congress from Egbeda Local Government and Ajorosun Local Council Development Area. According to him, he is the most experienced of all the aspirants, having held several public offices and learnt politics from late Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Shitu dismissed the ongoing realignment in the People's Democratic Party, saying the party is a non-starter at the state and federal level. National Conscience Party on Monday announced that it will not participate in the by-election slated for September 30 in the Etiosa local government area of Lagos State. The election is to fill the vacant seat arising from the death of the lawmaker representing the area, Kazim Alimi, who died on July 18. Lagos State Chairman of the NCP, Fatai Ibuowo, states that the NCP is not interested in the election and therefore has no candidate. He explained the party is currently preoccupied with strategizing for the 2019 elections and so has no time for the by-election. Wanted billionaire businessman Kola Aluko, who is also an ally of embattled former Minister of Petroleum Resources Diezani Alison Madueke, has sold off at least 4 properties as he continues to elude authorities. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) has therefore written to the United States government asking it to freeze the accounts where the proceeds of the sale was paid into. Documents show that between May 2016 and August 2017, Aluko had hurriedly sold the properties through an opaque procedure. The properties are suspected to have been sold in an off-market transaction using a limited liability company. An off-market sale in real estate refers to a property that is sold without any form of public advertising. The EFCC, in an application, asked the U.S. government to ensure that the funds obtained from the sale of the houses are restrained if possible. It was also learned that the anti-graft agency is seeking the seizure of 3 private jets allegedly belonging to Aluko, as well as a yacht worth over $80 million. Investigations also revealed that the EFCC has written to the British authorities for the forfeiture of Aluko's assets. It was learned that the federal government had triggered the Mutual Legal Assistance Treaty with the British government for the seizure of the properties. The commission has identified 5 properties belonging to Aluko in Canada, Switzerland, and the United Arab Emirates. For a long time, Aluko had been linked as a business associate of Diezani, who is also currently under investigation by the Nigerian and British authorities for money laundering and embezzlement. Shortly after she became petroleum minister in 2010, Diezani awarded Aluko's newly registered company, Atlantic Energy, a very lucrative contract. Aluko, along with his partner Jide Omokore, allegedly diverted over $1.7 billion in funds that should have been paid into the account of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) as part of the terms of the contract. Aluko allegedly bought properties for Diezani in the US, the UK, and Nigeria, which detectives believe are kickbacks. The properties linked to Diezani, Aluko, and Omokore, both home and abroad, with the federal government is trying to seize, are said to be worth over $1 billion, according to court documents. President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to address the United Nations General Assembly today to demand the repatriation of looted public funds to Nigeria. An FCT High Court in Gudu on Monday adjourned the trial of former Governor Joshua Dariye of Plateau until October 10 at the instance of the defense. Dariye is facing a 21-count charge bordering on money laundering and diversion of ecological funds to the tune of 1.162 billion naira. Dariye's new counsel, this is interesting, Dariye's new counsel is the former Attorney General of the Federation, Kanu Agabi, a senior advocate of Nigeria. And Agabi has asked for the adjournment to enable him get acquainted with the case. In his response, the EFCC prosecuting counsel Rotimi Jacobs told the court that the case had lingered for too long. Jacobs notes that the judge had advised the defendant to bring a counsel who will continue with the case when his former counsel withdrew from the matter. He said the defendant had called 16 witnesses but yet to close his case. He reminds the court that it was while Agabi was the Attorney General of the Federation that Dariye was arrested and investigated. According to him, the UK has even refunded some of the stolen funds recovered from Dariye to the federal government. Justice Adebukola Banjoko, in granting the adjournment, said that she did that in the interest of justice. Banjoko also said that she expects the defense counsel to honor his word and study the case. The judge also ordered that the new counsel be furnished with the records of proceedings to enable him to get acquainted with the case. That's a funny one. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onohe, has ordered all heads of courts in the Federation to compile and forward the list of all corruption and financial crimes cases in their courts. Justice Onohe also directs them to designate 1 or 2 courts in their jurisdiction as special courts for the hearing and speedy determination of corruption and financial crime cases. The CJN, who reiterated the pegging of legal appearances for each party to 5, announcing major reforms in the criminal justice system yesterday in Abuja during the conferment of the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria to 29 senior lawyers. He said to effectively monitor and enforce the new policy, an anti-corruption cases trial monitoring committee will be set up at the next meeting of the National Judicial Council. He said the appointment will, among other, he said the committee will, among other responsibilities, He said the committee will, among other responsibilities, ensure that both trial and appellate courts handling corruption and financial crime cases key into and abide by renewed efforts at ridding the country of the canker worm. The CJN also directs all heads of courts to clamp down on lawyers who deploy delayed tactics in criminal matters before them. He solicits the cooperation of the public in the anti-corruption war and advise litigants, advocates, and the public to refrain from making unsubstantiated and malicious allegations and complaints against judicial officers. I think this is the last. Okay, this should be the last. No. Okay, second to the last story. A chief magistrate court in Gombe has remanded a civil servant working with the state government in prison custody for allegedly insulting Governor Ibrahim Hassan Dakwambo and his mother. Abubakar Adamu, 35-year-old, who works with the State Ministry of Higher Education, was sued by one Inuwa Datijo, also known as DJ Maitaya, of the State Agency for Social Services, who alleged that the accused sent him an audio clip containing insults on the governor and his mother. According to the police first information report read to the accused person in court, Adamu had on September 9 forwarded the abuse-laden audio clip to the phone of Maitaya, claiming to have received it from an unknown person. However, the police prosecutor, Inspector Habibu Danjuma, told the court that when the accused was asked to name the purported sender of the message, he failed to give satisfactory account of the said information. The accused was charged with one count charge of fabricating false evidence, an offense that contravenes Section 156 of the Penal Code law. Inspector Danjuma said the accused pleaded not guilty. In view of his plea, the presiding judge, Chief Magistrate Japhet Maida, ordered the accused to be remanded in prison custody and adjourned the case to September 26, as applied by the prosecutor. Lastly, the natives of FCT, under the aegis of Coalition of Abuja Indigenous Associations, advised the Minister of the FCT, Mohammed Musa Bello, to always publish the monthly allocations given to the 6 area councils of the territory. Speaking at a press briefing over the weekend in Abuja, the spokesman of the group, Ahmad Yunusa Yusuf, also urged the minister to ensure he monitored activities of the area council chairman, especially on how they utilize the allocation given to them. He said it has become necessary to publish the area council's monthly allocations and monitor how the chairmen spend them due to the absence of developmental projects at the grassroots level and the problem of non-payment of salaries by some area councils. The natives also frown at the area council chairman for failing to disclose to the people who voted them into the office the position of the Paris Club